Hello and welcome to the 90-day reset. We are in step 3 now. Step 3 is where we are going to create your roadmap. So here's the deal. If you're here, give yourself a pat on the back. You are focused on creating a plan. You're going to hit the ground running. If you've already watched step 1 and step 2, give yourself a gold star, okay? Because it really does make a difference when you go through the whole process. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you've just landed here at step 3, then I suggest that you go back and watch step 1 and 2 if you can. I'm going to give a quick recap, but it's always good to know the full story. So the 3 steps are: step 1 is recharge, step 2 is rewind, and step 3 that we're in today is roadmap. A lot of us are taking time off over this quarter, but even if you're not, your customers might be, and you want to keep that in mind in terms of how you're pacing what you're doing. Our objective because of this is to front load. What I mean by that is, as you create your plan, to have in mind that you want to get most of it done, if not all of it done, in the first half of the quarter, rather than put things off until the last week or so and then struggle to get to the finish line. So I want you really to be in that mindset of, can you get stuff done sooner rather than later? A great example of this too is you can do this in your week. I was just coaching someone today on this. We think about setting goals for the week and what we're going to accomplish in the week. And one of my members had a goal that she had that I asked her, and she said it would take about 4 hours. And it was a significant goal that she wanted to achieve, and it was important to her. And she made it her weekly goal. And I suggested to her, why not set the deadline for yourself that you will have achieved this goal by Wednesday night? How would that feel? Does it feel doable? Yes, she said. So she had the time to finish it on Wednesday night, by Wednesday night. The difference that that makes is she then has the rest of the week to get other stuff done. Whatever tasks or goals we create will fit in the container that we put them, almost like a sponge when you put it in water, or chia seeds. They're crazy. You give them some water, they're going to suck everything up. That's what happens to our goals. So be mindful of that. I know we're looking at 90-day planning, but I'm also getting you to start thinking about, not only I'm going to get this stuff in the next 90 days, but when are you going to get it done? Because it will take as long as you think it's going to. And if you put it in a smaller container, I'm going to get it done by Wednesday, I'm going to get it done by the first 6 weeks of this quarter, then you are highly likely to achieve that. We, in step 1, reset of the reset, which is called recharge. Step 1 is recharge. We talked about self-care, mental health, charging up your tools that you use, recharging them, not just yourself, recharging your team, and planning recharge days so that you're continuing, not just in this week or right now as we're doing the 90-day reset, to think about recharging, but also to be looking at recharging beyond and throughout the whole quarter. If we're recharged, just like any of our devices, we're going to function better. So that's why step 1 is to recharge. You can learn more about that if you want to watch the replay of step 1. And I did give you a scavenger hunt. This is the scavenger hunt from a different quarter, but it is exactly the same. And it is just a little fun little challenge. The members, as a bonus, the members of the Momentum Squad, once they have posted 10 of their completed challenge items and turned in their 90-day plan, they get to be in a drawing to win a VIP day with me, which is 3 hours. So there's some nice, fun benefits to being a member. And this little challenge is a great way to do that. Everybody's been in a flurry in the Facebook group posting pictures. It's been really, really fun. So then in step 2, which is rewind, we were getting curious, hitting the pause button so that we could look at what worked, what didn't, and why of the last 90 days. Now, why is that important? Why can't we just go to the next quarter and start setting goals? Because if we don't change something, we're going to get the same. So if everything's working great and it's flowing along and all is well, and you don't want it to get any better, then don't ask any questions. But most of us would like to make tomorrow better than today. And that was the theme in Weekly Momentum today as well. So, if you want to make some shifts and changes, then the best way to do that is to look at the evidence from yourself. Look at what happened in the last 90 days and ask questions. So, in Rewind, which you can watch the replay if you missed, we posted wins from the last 90 days. That's a really great way to raise your energy and rewind and look at what you've accomplished, what you received, and all of the wins that happened in the last 90 days. I asked questions like what felt satisfying over the last 90 days. And that's such a great one because it's not loaded. It doesn't feel heavy. Once again, it lightens you up. It gets you curious. And the more we get our palate fine tuned with what's satisfying for us, the more of those things we'll receive in the next 90 days. So, really looking instead of just zipping forward and moving on to the next thing, taking time to rewind is step 2. Underneath the videos, you'll see downloads that you can download there. So today we're looking at step 3. Step 3 is roadmap. Now we are primed. We're in really good mental space and we've filled up and recharged and we're ready to look at, okay, what do I want? That's what a roadmap is. When you go on a road trip, the first thing you ask yourself is, where do I want to go? Or what kind of experiences do I want to have? Bottom line, before you go anywhere, you have to get clear on what you want. And so that's what we're doing in Roadmap. Now, you can do a mind map and you can play around, and I'll guide you through that in a minute. But before you do, I do find that this is also a good time every 90 days to look at what stage of business am I focused on right now, or would be a good place for me to focus. So I have this graphic that you can see on the screen here, which is all the different stages of business growth. And it's linear, but it's not linear. So yes, we might have an idea for a business when we first started. Michael Gerber calls it the entrepreneurial seizure that we have, where we're like, I'm going to start a business. And we have this idea, or we're working a job for someone else and we realize I could do this better. I can do this on my own. I'm going to start my own business. That's the idea phase. And then when we begin to put it down on paper and we then begin to look at what it might look like if we took that idea and began to make it more of a reality, that's when we're in the visionary stage, right? So we have an idea, then we start planning it, laying down that foundation for it. And then, great, we have something that's a little bit more tangible and we move into the growth cycle because we're going to need marketing. People are going to need to know and see us or this product or service. We're going to need sales, which basically means we're going to need to build relationships with those people that put their hand up and say, I'm interested, so that they can become customers and repeat customers and referral partners. We're going to maybe need to build a team, even if we're not employing people. We may be taking on independent contractors or have certain tasks that we want done on Fiverr or one of those services. We're going to be figuring out, like, following up and what is our niche and niching down and finding different markets that we're focused on. And we're going to be building our brand. And you see, these are all in a circle because there's going to be a continual circling around of these areas. Because, for example, the more you market and say, hi, I'm over here, and then the more people see you and say, I'm interested, then you have the more customers. You're probably going to need to build the team a little bit more and build the team a little bit more, right? You're going to have to get your systems better and your standard operating procedures and your branding. All of these pieces are going to be requiring your attention at different times. And especially as a solopreneur, it can feel completely overwhelming thinking, I need to do all of these things. And you might be looking at this right now going, Marianne, I really need all of these things. But think of the tortoise and the hare. It's that Aesop's fable where the hare is all excited and bouncing around and it's going to go really fast and it's just distracted. And it's confident and cocky and all over the place. And the tortoise is just putting one foot in front of the other, maybe not going as fast, it seems like, as the hare, But in reality, the tortoise wins the race. And so our minds want to do everything. We're living in a reality where there is so much that's possible, and we see other people around us seemingly doing everything as well. And we might feel behind, we might feel overwhelmed. But I can guarantee you, because I've seen it in myself, in the members of the Momentum Squad, and all around me with business owners, that if you focus on one thing at a time, you will nail it. You will be able to really mine it for gold. If you just focus on sales for 90 days, and not even sales, just a certain area of sales, you will have benefits in your business that will spill over into the other areas. However, if you are focused on marketing and sales and building your team and all of this at once, it is too much for one person to be taking on. Now, the exception to this is if you have a bigger company, and as the CEO, you have a head of sales, and you have a head of marketing, and you have a head of HR and team and all of that, and you are just the CEO, and you're overseeing the goals of everyone else. You can do more things then. But for most of us, we're wearing a lot of different hats. So we're going to see much more progress if we focus on one thing at a time. Just to touch on the other areas at the bottom of this flow chart here, we have expert, which is most, but not all, small business and entrepreneurs have an expertise that can be scaled up. So even if you offer something like speech language therapy, it is something that you could train other people to do the way that you do. You could create online trainings that people could watch to get benefit from it. You could train the trainer. You could create a franchise model, right? There's a lot of different ways that you can scale up. And some businesses, but not all, will want to move to the expert stage. And the other part of that is where you are writing books, you are blogging, you are doing podcasts, and you're positioning yourself and sharing your expertise. The last piece here is legacy. And legacy is something that I see a lot of business owners really being motivated and driven by. So they want to leave either their business as something for their children, or they want to leave their mark on the world and they want their business to exist beyond their lifetime. Another piece of legacy is developing your business so that you have maybe a nonprofit arm or you're an angel investor. So these are all different areas that you could be focusing on in your business. And there's more to it, but this gives you a visual. And every 90 days is a good opportunity for you to go, okay, so where would it be best for me to put my attention right now? And if you're, for example, not sure, is it marketing or is it sales? This is a common one that people want to focus on those two areas. If you have enough people already on your list, if you've got quite a lot of people and you feel like there's room that those people, if you reached out and you nurtured them, you could get some nice sales, then maybe focus on sales. But if you feel like you don't have enough people to talk to already that are on your list, that you don't have a big enough list, you don't know enough people, or they don't know you, then you want to focus on marketing. So marketing is growing your reach, your list, so that more people can see and know who you are. Sales is taking those people who already know who you are and building a relationship so that you begin to create customers and repeat customers out of it. So that's how you can discern which one to focus on. So there's a checklist too that you'll find that you'll be able to download, and it breaks down all of these areas into even more detail than I was just going over. And I want you to think of this not so much as an overwhelming, I have to do everything, but inspiration of what you might want to put on your 90-day plan. And you could take any one of these and make it a project on your 90-day plan, or even make it your one thing, your goal for the next 90 days, the main goal, and make it a little bit more tangible. Like, well, how are you going to figure out sales and upgrading sales? Well, we can look at, you could set up a clear process to follow up with new leads, like a standard operating procedure that you do, you nail, you get down, and then you could pass on to someone else to do. You could get 90 days ahead with your nurture content. Remember, sales is about building relationships with people. And so you want to be nurturing those relationships. And whether that's done automated through an email sequence or whether that is done individually, it's still nice to have some templates and some content that's already set up for that. So these are really great examples of things, tangible things that you can do and strategies for you to actually grow your business. So if you have the 12-week planner or the 90-day planner, it's going to be very helpful for you as you're creating your 90-day plan. You're going to want to put it in there. If you don't have one and you want one, you can go to the website and just click on shop planners, and you can look at all of the planners that we have there. You can download all the worksheets that I'm going to go over. But I do want to mention, to those of you that do have the 90-day planner, now, if you haven't done it yet, now is the time to get the new one. They're undated, so you want to go through and you want to put the dates in for the whole quarter. Don't just do the first week. Put all of the dates in the little circles. And on page 1, I want you to be filling out page 1 and reminding yourself what your goals were for the year, what your power words are, so that as you step into this quarter and you start using the new planner, you have everything ready to go. So the plan that we're going to be using is this one, and it is a plug and play version, which I've developed over the last 6 months, so that I've made it even easier to put together a plan, because I found a lot of people were struggling because they were overwhelmed by all of the different projects that they could do and they didn't know how to pick. So I've created a little bit of a system so that it's going to help you pick out what to put into your plan. I'm going to give you a quick overview of how to do your plan now. So at the top of the plan, you'll see there's little bubbles that correlate with the infograph we were just looking at. So this top section is a moment for you to pause and go, which area do I want to focus in of my business? And you're going to pick just one. I know that you're going to want to pick more than one. Trust me. I've had a lot of people negotiating with me on this. Just one. You're just going to pick one. So is it business foundation? Is it business brand, marketing leads? I've broken it down even more than the infographic. So I'm hoping that the way it's written with these bubbles, you can clearly see just by looking at them, okay, yes, I want to focus on that. And you'll also notice on here, there is things like, maybe you want to be focusing on your financial viability of your business and looking at the numbers. And that's an important piece, because maybe the business is struggling, or maybe you're looking to sell it. Or do you need a business exit strategy? And is that what you want to be focusing on? So I've added in those pieces as well. And there's a blank line if you want to write your own in as well. But the first thing I want you to do is like, okay, where would be the best area for me to focus my energy, my attention over the next 90 days? Then skip over the 90-day goal for a minute and the metrics, and go to the power words and think about, what do you want the energy to be like in the next 90 days? Do you want to feel confident? Do you want to feel focused? Do you want to feel supported? On the back page of the planner, you'll find a list of amazing words which you can pick from for your power words. But this is also a good resource for you to look at what words, like what is the energy of what you want to step into in the next 90 days, and pinpoint 3 words that really represent how you would like to feel. It's so interesting to me that we always feel like we have to do the thing and then we'll feel the feeling. However, it's not the way it works. We feel the feeling and then we do the thing, but you want to look at what is the energy of the next 90 days. So now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to give you the lay of the land for the rest of the plan. And then I'm going to go over a couple of different approaches to it. So at the top, right, we've got my 90-day goal. And then underneath that, there's room for what are called 10 different projects. Okay. So I like to think of them as projects rather than 10 goals, because you have one main goal and that's at the top. And these projects primarily are supporting that goal. There's room for 3 projects at the top, and those are three projects to move you towards your goal. And then the rest of the plan, I'm giving you a formula of what to put in each of those projects. So number 4, I want you to think of a daily AM morning habit that would be beneficial for you for the next 90 days, not for the rest of your life. And it should be something you're not already doing consistently, right? So if you already get up and meditate for 15 minutes and you've been doing that for 15 years, you're not going to write that down as your daily AM habit because you don't need to. It's already a habit. We want to write things down on this plan that are either inconsistent or new that we really would like to establish better. So, what is a daily AM habit that could support you over the next 90 days? For example, it might be that you're getting up at a different time and you're experimenting with getting up half an hour earlier or an hour later. An AM habit might be that you walk around the block before you start work. An AM habit could also be that for the first 15 minutes of your workday, that you plan your day, right? So it could be work focused, it could be personal focused, but ultimately we want that daily AM habit to be whatever you need to do that is going to really get you going for the day, that thing you're going to add into the mix that you'll be able to do consistently every day. So you want to under promise with all of these so that you can do them no matter what. Even if you've got a really busy day, you want to be able to do your daily AM habit. You don't want to set up these habits that you could only do on this amazing day where you have so much space and time. Because how many of those days do we have, ladies? Let's be honest. We want to plan for a busy day, the things that we could do on that day. Next is winning environment. So how can you set up a winning environment for yourself? And I find the best way to look at creating a winning environment is to look at what's not working. Especially over the last 90 days, have there been things that have been slowing you down or not working, or are there new environments that you've been wanting to set up for yourself? A winning environment, an example of it is if you had your 90-day goal was all about building relationships and that you were going to establish strong relationships with your list by nurturing them more. Okay. So maybe the 90-day goal was to nurture your list. And one of the projects that you had was that you were going to mail out personal cards to everyone handwritten, right? A winning environment for this would be that you have a little box on your desk with the note cards already in there with the stamps and everything's ready to go. You have your labels with your return address on it already printed, and you have everything you need. You have your CRM with the addresses for everybody in it. That's a winning environment for you to be able to complete that project. So winning environments can be something like that. It can also be something a little bit more intangible. So a few quarters back, I joined a mastermind group, and that was the winning environment for me. Like being in that group for that 90 days, it was feeding me, it was inspiring me, it was giving me direction. And so that was a winning environment. It was a winning social environment. So you can look at the winning environment a lot of different ways, but ultimately you want all of these that we're going over right now to support you in your 90-day goal. Okay. So then we have your daily recharge habit. We are on the go, go, go. And we focused a whole week in this reset on recharging. I want that to become a regular habit. So is there something small that you've discovered that if you do every day, it really recharges you? It could be that you do that shot of, I don't know, celery juice every day, and that's your recharge habit. Maybe it is a 3-minute meditation. Maybe recharge habit is that you take a 15-minute nap in the middle of the day. I want you to experiment and really notice, how do you energize yourself and what could you add into the mix? And just notice over the next 90 days how that habit, if you experiment with it, is able to power you up. Then we have the daily PM habit, much like the AM habit, but it's something to wind down the day. For me, what I'm going to be most likely putting on my plan this time is I've been reading a few minutes of A Course in Miracles every day, and it's a nice way for me to unwind at the end of the day. I take that back though, because I did that last 90 days. And what I've realized is, I'm going to give you a dirty secret here. I'm really bad about brushing my teeth and washing my face in the evening. I'm really bad about it because I get past that point of no return and I'm too tired and I can't be bothered to go do it. And it's so silly because it's really not a big deal and it's so good for you to take care of yourself. So I think what I'm going to do for my daily PM habit is I'm going to say that I am, as soon as I've eaten dinner, that I'm going to wash my face and brush my teeth. That's what's going to be my habit. So if you bump into me, you can say, hey, how's that going? Are you brushing your teeth at night? Okay. I put my dirty little secret out there. But play around. What is that habit in the evening? It could be the end of the workday, or it could be right before you go to sleep in the bedtime routine. But just experiment with one habit that you're building into the plan. And then at the bottom is the thing that's quite controversial that we've added in the last 6 months. So the last 3 items on the plan are things not to do, that you're not going to do. So it might be projects that you've thought about doing that you're going to say, no, I'm not doing that. And are we saying not do it ever? No, 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 no. I'm just saying you're going to write down things that you're not going to do for the next 90 days. You can do them after that if you want to, but you're going to make an intentional agreement with yourself that I am going to back burner or consciously not do this. One of the things I had on my not to do list for the last quarter was to schedule things nights and weekends. And I did that for, I would say, 90% of the quarter until my battery was recharged and full. And that not to do had done its magic. And now I am ready to do a little bit of nights and weekends classes. But I wrote it down on the not to do list for 90 days so that I could really recharge myself. I'd done too much of it and I felt a little bit burnt out. So it might be something like that, or it might literally be a project. Like a couple of quarters ago, I wrote down I wasn't going to work on upgrading the 90-day planner. I love my planners. I love playing with them. I love upgrading them. But I knew that I needed to focus my energy and attention on other things. So now let's now take a step backwards. I wanted to give you the outline of the plan and exactly how it works to start with. But let me give you a little bit of a process of how you could actually get to the point where you're putting everything on the plan. I would suggest you get, and what we did yesterday at the 1-day reset is we got a big piece of paper and we did a mind map. So a mind map is where you draw a circle in the middle of the page and you would want to, and Daria's showing hers on the screen right now. That's so cute. So you draw a circle in the middle of the page and you're going to write in at Q4 or whatever quarter we're in that circle in the middle of the page. And then you're going to do a brain dump. You're just taking everything that's in your head and you're just putting it on the page. You're not making a commitment at this moment. We just need to unpack everything so that we can take a good look at it. So on that big piece of paper, put down all the things that people are expecting from you, that you've promised people, that you feel like you should be doing. It's okay to put things like that on there. Also put down on that page the things that would be really fun and exciting and that you'd like to do in the next 90 days. All of this is in the container of the next 90 days. And so you're really unpacking everything and take your time with this stuff because I find that sometimes the best ideas can't make their way through your brain until you've unclogged the pipes with all the other stuff. So sometimes you might need to unpack everything and then sit there or go for a walk around the block or just sit there with the page. Just look at it. Take a few moments. Give yourself permission. Create the space to be great and allow your intuition to come through and see what else needs to go on the page. That page should be pretty full by the time you're done. I also want you to look at your annual goals. If you set goals for the year, you want to look at those and see if there's anything that you want to do and you want to add to this mind map around the goals that you had for this year. What I see happening so often with plans, whether it's weekly or quarterly, is people are reinventing the wheel. If you have a strong structure, which is what I create at the Momentum Squad, where you set annual goals, you then use the annual goals to help you create your 90-day goals. Then you use your 90-day goals to help you create your weekly goals. And you look at your weekly goals to create your daily goals. It's like beads on a necklace, bigger, getting smaller and smaller and smaller, right? And so instead of having to reinvent the wheel, you could just look at the time and effort you put into the strategic planning that you've already done. If you haven't got those pieces, that's okay. You can start with a 90-day plan. You'll be in great shape. Then you'll have a structure to help you with your weekly planning and your daily planning. So you do that big mind map, and then you look at it and come back to the question at the top of the page here. Okay, if I want to grow my business, if I was life coaching all of you, we wouldn't start with the business. You would look at the mind map. You would say, what do I want to do this next 90 days? But you're business owners and I'm business coaching you. So we're driven by the business. Your life gets to come along for the ride because you are the captain of this ship. But we want to be business centric in terms of most of the time, the 90-day goal. So you want to be asking yourself, how can I grow my business in the next 90 days? What do I need to put energy and attention into? And you probably will have a few ideas, sit with it and pick one area. Just having that focus is going to help you create a better plan. So at the top, you pick a bubble, you color it in. Then you can ask yourself, what could I do as a goal in this area of marketing and new leads or increasing sales or scaling up, whichever bubble you colored in at the top? What is one thing that I could set as a goal in this area? Because you can't just have the goal be marketing. You won't know what to do. How will you know you've even accomplished it? So the top bubbles are just there to narrow your focus more, but then you're going to get really specific with your 90-day goal and make it a little bit more of the area you're going to focus on. So your 90-day goal, get really clear on what it is. Where do you want to be? You can ask yourself this, where do I want to be 90 days from here? And you can't be the tortoise and the hare. You can't be everywhere. Another analogy that I find works really well is if you were cooking and you had a stove that had a million burners and you had so many pots on the stove at one time, you're going to burn something. The fewer pots you have on the stove, the better the chef you'll be. You are the entrepreneur, the captain, the chef, right? And so it's important for you to have a few things to focus on and to really excel as you're doing it. Think of yourself like an Olympic athlete. You're not an expert in every area. You're going to laser your focus on one area of your business. So you're going to use that to dictate what the goal is. Then you can start to look at, okay, well, what projects will support this? And you can pick from your mind map and you can start to put together not only the top 3 projects, because you see from this plan, you end up basically with 3 projects. It might be a plan with 10 projects on it, but ultimately you're being really focused on 3 things that are going to move the needle, 3 different projects. And think about it. Think about how long will each of these top 3 projects take me to accomplish? Is it doable in 90 days? Really get curious and make sure, write it down and sit with it and look at it. And then look at what daily AM habits going to support this. What winning environments do I need to create for myself so I can really perform at a high level here? What is my recharge habit that's going to help me with this? What is my PM habit? And what do I need to back burner or not do or pick from my mind map that I'm going to say, I'm not doing this right now? Now, for me, sometimes I come up with the 90-day goal first, and then I come up with my projects. Sometimes it might make more sense for you to come up with your top 3 projects and then see what that goal is. It doesn't matter which way around you do it, but you want to have the goal and you want to have 3 main projects. And what's really, really nice about this is for those of you, I know a lot of you are big fans of the 30-day planners. And in the 30-day planner, every single day, there is a spot for you to write down your top 3 projects. And you know what those 3 projects are going to be? These 3 projects on your planner. So can you see how that's going to create some really nice momentum? Because you've labeled your top 3 projects for the next 90 days. And then every single day you're going to handwrite them down. And that's going to mean that you're much more likely to accomplish them because you're going to be looking and focusing on those 3 things that are going to get you to hit your 90-day goal every 90 days. The plan here, a couple other details on it. Next to the project, there's room for you to write down actions. You might think of these as milestones, or if you were to break that project into 3 little bites, it's just a way for you to make it a little bit smaller. So you can check off, well, I did that part 1 of it, I did part 2 of it, did part 3 of that project. Sometimes the actions that you write down or the milestones might need to be done in a linear manner, but don't always presume they do. That's something that definitely has come up when we did the Get It Done Day the other day, that sometimes we think, well, I've got to do this and I'm waiting on that person, so I can't do this. But it's not always the case. Sometimes we can keep moving forward while we're waiting to hear back from someone. So just because you write them in a 1, 2, 3 order doesn't mean they have to be done in that order. Remind yourself of that. You want to put down the date. You've got room to put the date that you start the project, because it might be that one of these projects maybe is for each of the next 3 months and you do one per month. It might be that one project just physically cannot be started until a certain date. Definitely writing down the start date on here. You've got room where it says status. You can write, I would suggest, in pencil, and you can keep updating the status. So it may be that you are at a standstill on a project and you're waiting for Sharon to get back to you. So you can write in pencil, waiting for Sharon to get back to me on the plan here. And then you know that every time you look at the plan, it might prompt you to go, hey, Sharon, how's that going? Have you got that ready for me yet? So it's a nice way for you to know what to do next. And then the little circles, of course, help you to figure out how much progress you've made. So you get to color in. Are you at 100% yet? And this forces you to really think about, how will I know I'm at 100% of this project? So what you might do as a bonus activity here is for each of the top 3 projects, not for necessarily everything on the plan, but those of you that are overachievers, go for it, do it for everything on the plan. But for the top 3 projects, I want you to think about, how would you know it was 10% complete? How would you know it was 20% complete? How would you know it'd be 30%? And write down what the benchmarks are, which will help you get clearer on what you need to do next. So if that idea feels completely overwhelming and you're already thinking, my goodness, doing this plan is enough, Marianne, then just ignore it. But if you feel like you want a little bit more clarity, especially around, is this 10% complete? Is this 20%? 30? How will I know it's 100% complete? Well, then ask yourself those questions now, not as you're going along. Now, the only piece I haven't touched on is at the top of the plan, there's my 3 key metrics. So metrics are information, feedback that we get that tell us if we're moving in the right direction. There are things that we can do that we know if we do them will get us to our destination. When you're driving in your car and you look at the gas gauge, you can see how much gas you have left. That's a metric. You can measure it. Metrics are things that we create that we can measure so that we know how we're doing overall. So when I work with the members of the Momentum Squad, all of them get 2 private sessions with me. And after the second session with me, we finish their plan. And then I ask them, what are 3 metrics we can use that will support you? And if it's make 5 phone calls each day, then they can put in that they made 3 or 2 or 4 or 5 and track their metrics. We get so much information from that, because sometimes we'll feel like, I haven't done anything. I've really let myself down. But when we look at the metrics, we realize you've done really well. You may have not done it this week, but you did really great the weeks before. And we can look at patterns. We can notice why you are maybe not doing something that you were doing it before. What happened? What created that change? So metrics is something I come up with all the members, but I encourage you to think of what is it? Maybe it's that you need to make the 5 phone calls every day because you're focused on building relationships and sales. So maybe that's what it is. It might be that if you're going to go old school a little bit and you have an event coming up and you've made little postcards or something for it, maybe it's handing out one or putting on a notice board a postcard every day. For some of you, maybe it's more about your own energy and well-being. And it's important for you to make sure that your metric is that you get up at 8 a.m. every morning or 7 a.m. or whatever time it is, right? Or go to bed at a certain time. Maybe the metric is that you need to create more balance and you want to finish work at 2 p.m. every day or 5 p.m. every day. Leave the office at 5 p.m. every day. These are all examples of metrics, but instead of them being random metrics that you come up with, you might hear me and you might think, oh yeah, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. I want you to think about metrics that will support this plan so that everything on this page is working together as a cohesive unit to move you towards your goal. It's all focused. Instead of it being all over the place, everything pointing in different directions, think of this plan being like this arrow with this really strong momentum behind it to move you forward. So this blank plan you'll find in the downloads. The final thing I want to talk about here is this idea of really pre-paving your future. You know, what I love about the 90-day reset is it's that reset every 90 days. Hit pause. I'm going to create my 90-day plan. I'm going to rewind. I'm going to recharge. And I want you to be thinking beyond as you're doing this reset. So get one of those big wall calendars if you haven't gotten one already and start to look at the whole 12 months from now and what you might want to have on your calendar and events coming up so that you can prepare in a really great way for everything that's going to be coming. You can pre-pave and smooth things out. You can take advantage of opportunities that you have. One really, really great opportunity is the annual retreat that we have. It's actually in Palm Desert, California. It's going to be a really great strategic planning retreat for professional women, all about bold vision and innovation. If you're interested in the retreat, you can find that on the website. Book it now, get it on your calendar, prepay. There's a payment plan available for that as well. So we've got recharge, rewind, step 2, and just now we focused on roadmap, which is step 3. Be consistent. That's the key. Consistency is the key. As much as we want to do everything, when we have that brain that's just like squirrel brain, and I could do this and I could use AI to do this, and before you know it, you're just completely exhausted and overwhelmed. It's better to focus on one thing at a time and be consistent. And once you've got your 90-day plan done, the next step is to look at it weekly. You know how I said beads on a necklace? So you have your 90-day plan. One of the things in the 90-day planner is every single week, there's about 4 pages. You're going to ask questions of yourself each week to look at, rewind basically, what worked, what didn't, and why. But also at the end of every week, you're going to check in with your 90-day plan. And this is gold and it's overlooked all the time, but you're going to write down all the items that were on your 90-day plan and then your next action step for each of them before you plan your week. What that forces to happen is that your 90-day plan is now a strong focus of your weekly planning, which means you're much more likely to do it. So that consistency piece is essential, and looking at it weekly is the key. When I ask someone, how'd you do on your 90-day plan? And they're like, I didn't do very well. My next question will be, how often did you look at it? Because if you look at it, I would say every week. As long as you're looking at every week to create your weekly plan, you're golden. So all you got to do is look at your 90-day plan 12, 14 times and you are going to exponentially increase the odds of you achieving what's on that plan. And a great way to do that is, if you're not already a member, to join the Momentum Squad. Every Monday, 8 a.m., you're going to find me with the members on the weekly Momentum call. We then have a weekly huddle so I can coach you and help you just set up your weekly plan, your weekly top 10, and your weekly goal. You also get those 2 25-minute private sessions with me. We have Get It Done days virtually, and that's all free for members. And of course, you get these planners that comes with membership as well. So if you're not already a member, definitely look at that. It's going to give you the momentum that will really make the difference between having a plan and actually implementing a plan. And there's payment plans available once you go there. So you can just go to momentumsquad.com and you'll see join today on the navigation bar. So we've kicked it off fully. And we've gone through step 1, step 2, step 3. If you missed any of those or you want to revisit them, and you'll see the links to all the replays so that you are ready to soar. I'll see you in Momentum.